Good morning, afternoon. Oh, my hair's not that lovely. My hair's lovely, but it's just not done the way I would like for it to be done these days. I'm not sure what I want to do with it, but good morning. God bless you in Jesus' name. I am wanting you to talk about my mentor's book and movie. That's a lot of light. Turn around this way. Okay, so what I had to do while I was feeling really emotional. First, let me just tell you, I started watching If Bill Street Could Talk. I didn't want to go to the movies to see it, and I had a very hard time seeing it. It's almost like seeing a dead friend's movie being produced after they're dead. You have a best friend or something, someone that you're very close to, and you know their work, and you're really passionate about their work, and then someone goes and writes maybe a novel or does a movie after they're deceased. I mean, it's like a catch-22. You may be excited to go see it, and you might be apprehensive. I was apprehensive. James Baldwin is, and always will be, the reason why I love to read. I think I really hemmed that up. I was pretty thorough in another video that I did regarding my mentor, Mr. James Baldwin. He wrote If Bill Street Could Talk, amongst many other books, Native Son, The Upper Room, a couple other ones I can't even think of right now because my mind is on If Bill Street Could Talk. And these days, listen, I just turned 48 and has nothing to do with it, but I'm just saying, thoughts get away from me, especially if my mind is not on it. So what I did was I wrote this really emotional piece as I began to watch the movie If Bill Street Could Talk. I had heard different people say things like, "Oh, If Bill Street Could Talk is so boring." Oh. And then I saw Regina King in there, and that made me go, that sparked an interest. I'm like, okay, Regina is always good in anything. I love her. And there were other characters in there. There was Michael Beach is in there. There's another woman in there. Can't think of her name, but she plays the mother of Lonnie, Fonnie, Tish's boyfriend. She plays Tish's boyfriend's mother, and I remember her. She's a good actress. I got halfway through the movie. I turned it off. I purchased If Bill Street Could Talk on YouTube. The reason why I purchased it is because, like I said, I didn't want to go to the movie theater and then need to see it again. Because I know me. If I go to see something and I'm feeling really deep about it, I'm going to want to see it again and pick it apart, pick it to pieces. Because then that's going to unleash something in me. Now I've got to write. I wrote a very little bit. I had a little piece of paper in the kitchen. It was hanging around, and there's half of a sheet of paper. And I grabbed what I had now, which tells me I need to put some lined paper in the kitchen now. I have a whole book in my bedroom. I have a book in my car. And usually if I'm going to write, I can take my book to the kitchen with me. But it hit me. The inspiration hit me. Excuse me. And I had to write. So what I want to say to you is, I want to say a couple of things. God is so amazing. Okay. He takes a Moses who has a speech impediment and tells him, "Hey, you're gonna be a leader. You're gonna be speaking for me." He's like, I can't even talk." And he takes that person and makes him a leader. He took me. I'm like, I'm dumb. I can't even read. I couldn't even read for a long time. I mean, I was really too big not to be able to read. I would think. Um, I think children should be reading very early. My oldest daughter started reading when she was 2, sight words, and then for between the ages of 2 and 5, I had her reading college material. That's because I had nothing to do with my time, and I mean, I had something to do with my time, but I utilized it. I just wanted her to know. My kids, they're like 7 and 9, and they're reading. They're not reading college material, but they speak like they read college material. They speak very articulately, and I don't put the time the same that I put into Kim the way I put into Kathy and Teresa. But anyway, back to me as a kid not being able to read, and God taking those, just taking the opposites and making something opposite, taking something bad or taking nothing and turning it into something. And that was me. I could not read. If you follow my other video and I talk about my mentor James Baldwin, I become very emotional, and I talk about how I hated reading. I could not read in 3rd grade. I could not. I mean, I knew words. I knew words, but reading them in comprehension, reading goes beyond just being able to say what the word is. Reading is, for one, the comprehension, understanding what you read. You don't necessarily have to enjoy it, but you can still understand it. For me, there was a twofold for me. I hated reading, and then I hated reading. I hated reading for 2 reasons. I didn't get why I needed to read. For what? I really didn't get it. Nobody explained it to me. Nobody, even when my mother practiced with me and helped me read, if she did, I didn't get it. Okay? And I'm sure with her being so profound and prolific and intelligent, and sorry about that. I'm surprised it lasted that long. My phone's always going out. Anyway, being profound, prolific, and all those intelligent things that my mother was, I'm sure she said something. Well, if you can read, you can understand. I just don't remember. All I knew is that kids were laughing at me when I pulled out my weekly reader in class to read. I just wanted to get through the words fast so that I wouldn't be laughed at. That is it. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about. My mother used to read to me. Now, her reading to me was nice. I enjoyed being read to. I enjoyed picking out a book and saying, Mom, read this to me. Mom, read that to me. But me picking up the book myself and reading it just was not an enjoyment for me until I ran into, I don't know how I found this book, If Beale Street Could Talk. So now here it is, 40 years, well, 35 years later, I want to say. I think it's less, more than that. 40, if I say. I'm 48. So maybe 38 years later. 38 years later. Or 35, 30, somewhere in there, years later. Um, there's a movie, He's Not Alive. So I'm in the kitchen just a few minutes ago and I'm crying profusely because I realized that I've never told this man, James Baldwin, that he's the reason that I read. Of course, Jesus provided people, provided him, made him available, during that time. But this book was illicit, sexual content, all that stuff. How I found the book, I don't know. Why did they let me check it out? There should be a rated R section where students can't pick up a book in that area. They have to show an ID. Really, I'm serious. That's how graphic this book is. I mean, it's like a movie. But let me tell you how I felt. First, I want to tell you about how I feel about the book. How I didn't go into detail. I just talked about how James Baldwin made me want to read, and I loved the book so much. So the book made me feel, I was a very lonely kid, very lonely because I thought different and I did things different. I did have friends, but a lot of times because I was a latchkey kid, I had to stay home. And then when I did get to go out, I played with an entirely different set of kids than I played with at school. So for me, it was a bit of a connecting and building, a relationship with friends, kids that I could play with that were in school and after school. That was always a problem for me. I liked it to connect dots, but I was still able to make friends. But a lot of times my friends weren't in my age group. Sometimes they were older. A lot of times they were older. And so they were, not wanting to play what I wanted to play. And then sometimes I found kids that were my age and then we fought. So it was that whole thing, this whole scenario with just being lonely, being home, my older sister having her life, and I'm there. And so this book made me feel a part of. Let me tell you, I felt like as I was reading this book, If Beale Street Could Talk, I felt as if I was a little kid. I was 12 years old, so I was a kid anyway. I was a young girl, but I felt like I was like 4 or 5 years old, sitting at the table with my head or my chin on the table like this, and I was listening to my family talk. I felt like when James Baldwin wrote, he did this thing which I call flashbacks, and I do it in my writing. I picked it up. He'll go back to, like, when you see if Bill could talk, they do it in that movie, and I really appreciate that they did that in the movie too. He'll be talking about one time, you know, a certain point in time, and then next thing you'll know, he starts writing about something that happened years before. It's like he'll catch you up. A lot of people don't, and I talk like that too. I talk like that, and you'll notice probably through this exhortation that I do that. I do it all the time. And I have a friend that always goes, "Okay, remember you were talking about this." I'm like, "Yeah, I was talking about that, but that, needs a little bit more. I need to explain that more. So in order to explain that, I gotta go all the way back there and tell you about that, so that when I start talking about this, you'll have the whole. I just, I just like giving people the whole piece of cake and bits at a time, and you know, so sometimes I might give you a taste of the. Okay, so I might give you, if I'm making a cake, I might give my kids a taste of the icing on the cake before I give them the cake, right? Every now and then, I might scoop in the middle, take a piece of the cake out and say, "Taste the cake, see how it tastes." And so you had the cake, and I'm like, "Okay, now taste the icing." Now taste them together. Now I'm gonna go back, do another piece of cake, and then you can taste the icing. So it's like interchangeable, so you can taste it, so you can really experience what I'm experiencing. And that's what James Baldwin does. That's what he taught me in his writings from reading his work. So it made me feel, and let me just read what I wrote, because if I don't, then I'm going to tell you it's not going to come out the same way. If I get clicked off, I'll continue where I stopped, okay? All right, so I'm finally watching If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin, the movie version of his book. My mentor in writing, James Baldwin. I'm halfway through the movie and I stopped to have some tea. I think of my very first time reading an entire novel from cover to cover and not skipping any pages because there were boring parts that I just wanted to miss. And if Bill Street could talk, there were no boring words or an idle word that meant nothing. Every word meant something. James Baldwin, at the age of 12, me being the age of 12 years old, made me want to read. He made a girl who had never finished any book before the age of 12, finish a book. When I had to do a book report, I simply skimmed, reading the first 20 pages and skipping to the middle and reading about 10 or 20 pages. If my attention would, hold, because I hated reading. Then I'd skip to the end and read there in case any questions were asked. But when I picked up If Bill Street Could Talk, I couldn't put it down. Reading that book made me feel as if I were a part of the family, sitting around the table with Tish and Fonnie and the rest of the family. I felt like a little girl about 4 or 5 years old that was a part of the family, listening to my grown up family members as a kid. I was so lonely. So this book made me feel like a warm blanket had been spread over me and I wasn't left out. I felt as if I had been included in this book. So many times you read books and you feel like you're an outside. I mean, I felt like I was on the outside. I mean, I'm gonna name an author. After reading James Baldwin's book, I followed reading his book by reading Terry McMillan's book. And I always talk about Mama. Mama was like my next best favorite book to read outside of If Bill Street Could Talk, because they were the only two books I read. Now that I've read tons and tons of books, I can say If Bill Street Could Talk is still my very, very favorite book. And Mama is still my next very favorite book. Yes, I can say that. I guess I have to say that because now I love Sister Soldier's book, The Coldest Winter Ever. But I was an adult then, and I was reading, and I loved to read by that time. And I can't attribute any of my, love for reading to her book because I just didn't get my hands on her book. I'm sure if I had got my hands on her book, I probably would have loved reading too. That was pretty explicit. I don't even know if I would have gotten through that book. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I can't say. I'm glad I didn't get my hands on that book at 12. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up. Awesome, awesome writer she is, Sister Soldier. I have more to read. So now I'm going to go into the movie portion, okay? Because, again, I was afraid to watch it. I wasn't even going to buy it. But I did. I purchased it. And just last night, it came out, but I was working, so I couldn't watch it. I got home from work this morning at 7, so I proceeded to watch it a little bit. I haven't gone to sleep yet. I gotta go to sleep for work, but let me just read a little bit of what I experienced as I was watching the movie. I'm only halfway through If Bill Street Could Talk now, so I will come back and give another review after this, but I just wanted to do this now while it was on my mind, okay? Watching this movie did not exactly make me feel like I felt reading the book, but it so far has made me feel warm, safe, and relaxed within my emotions. That's what I put. The question is, Do I feel like I'm around the table as I watch the movie the way reading this excellent literary art made me feel? Now, that's a question I can only answer after I finish the movie. The only answer I can give now, because I'm just halfway through the movie, is I feel like I'm actually reading Mr. Baldwin's book. So that's how far I've come, at this point. So I feel like I'm reading his book. I want to go back and talk about as I was reading his book. When I talk about how, and this just came out today. I got all emotional in the kitchen, and as I was saying these things, because I talk things out before I write them. So like if you were, say, a fly on a wall, you know, I'm an artist. You might come in the kitchen and find me talking to myself. That's what I do. My daughter sees it all, so they're used to it. They're used to it. So I start talking about how I feel about James Baldwin. And I'm crying and I'm saying, I never even got a chance to tell him how much, I appreciate him. He's dead. I can never tell him that he helped me read. He made me love reading. And then I said, I felt like a warm blanket was wrapped around me. I felt safe. I felt comforted. I felt like I was being taken care of within the contours of his writing. What author do you know? And you put yours down at the bottom and you tell me about it. If you have someone who helped you want to read, who made you want to read, please tell me who that author is. Now, I have another thing. I always talk about homosexuality and how, you know, it's not of God, and I still mean it. My mentor is gay. Was gay. He's not alive now. And how do I feel about that? I almost said I don't care. I don't mean I don't care because I feel sad that if he didn't give his life to the Lord, I don't know. I mean, I've looked at different documentaries, very few and far in between. I've read his books way more than I've watched his documentaries. But I've watched some just here recently. And I have to say, if he hasn't given his life to Christ, he's on his way to hell. And that's something that I really don't want to think about. For one, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't minister to him in any kind of way. I'm not Catholic, so I don't believe in penance. What is it, penitence or something like that? Where you can pray someone into heaven and pray that they stay in purgatory, the place between heaven and hell. A person who might have been so bad on earth. It's nonsense. It's silly. But I'm just saying, I'm not Catholic and I'm not any of these other religions that, you know, my works could help him get into heaven in any kind of way. So if he didn't believe on the Lamb of God, Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, he's going to hell. Okay, so now that I got that out the way, I'm going to take a deep breath. Okay. All right, so with that said, James Baldwin is and will always remain my mentor. And I appreciate his work. I appreciate his literary art. I thank God for him. And again, so the movie has me feeling warm, but I don't feel like I'm around the table. I don't feel like I'm there. Like I was with the book with James Baldwin, the way he writes, I felt like a child that was sitting in on grown folks' conversation, and they knew I was there. I probably needed to have gone in the room somewhere, but they let me stay because they loved me. It was just so much love around that table. Oh my God. As a 12-year-old who was lonely, bored most of the time, always looking for something to do or get into. You know how kids can be. That book made me feel sheltered. It's not that I wasn't taken care of. I was a latchkey kid. My mother had to work. I had a big sister. It's just that I was lonely. I was bored, and I wasn't. Remember, I wasn't into reading books. I wasn't into reading books. I didn't want to read. I only read because I had to do a book report or something, and understanding it was just like all the battle for me. But this book made me want to read. And after that, once I read that book, If Beale Street Could Talk, it was a done deal. I picked up everything. I read everything. Everything I could get my hands on, I read. Looking for that same type of warmth and feeling, and I didn't find it. So I went and found more of his books. Now I'm going to tell you one thing, though. I'm going to talk a little bit about Terry McMillan. I read her book called Mama after I read James Baldwin's book, If Beale Street Could Talk. She has this really dynamic book, well written. I mean, it's just, if it ever becomes a movie, I want to pick out the cast. I already know who I would want Mama to be. She has to be like a light skinned person. I have a couple of people that could play Mama. I'm not going to go into it, but I want to tell you how that book made me feel. That book made me feel like I was in a window looking in someone's house, and like I was looking in, like I was being nosy and looking in, and I just had the dibs. I was able to sneak in and see everything that was going on in their life. And she's an excellent writer, superior. I mean, she is just like high on a totem pole. I don't think anybody, Terry McMillan, nobody compares to her besides James Baldwin. He's just all the way superior. The reason why James Baldwin is so superior to even her writing, because now Terry McMillan throws down. Okay, I read Waiting to Excel. I read Waiting to Exhale after I saw the movie Waiting to Exhale. And somehow I have this thing with that. A lot of people like to read the book, right, first, and then they see the movie later. Now that's usually how it happens if you're into that particular book, or like Nancy Drew's series, and then you read Nancy Drew, and then you see the series on the movie or TV or whatever the case is. Me, if I had a choice, this is just me. This is just me because, like, right now, see, because of what's happening. Okay, sorry about that. Because what's happening right now to me, okay? Let me tell you what's happening to me right now. Okay, let me just say this. I prefer looking at a movie, right, before I read the book. I like that. I got that. I have both experiences. I've experienced both. Okay, so let me tell you. I saw Waiting to Exhale, and then I read the book. All right. For those of you who read novels and really, really like reading, you'll know that the book has a tendency to like tell you everything, detail upon detail, and you're like, you got it's a long time, it lasts longer. And me, I like savoring the memory. Like if I feel like I'm in a good book and I'm finishing it too fast, I really get upset because, like, especially if I love it and I'm feeling like with James Baldwin, the only thing you could do is just pick up the book and read again. Okay, I'm rambling. Let me come back. Right now, okay, I had no choice in the matter. I read If Beale Street Could Talk already. It's already read, already done. The only other option for me is to look at the movie. Secondary. I didn't have a choice in the matter like I had with Waiting to Excel. I could choose to read the book or because by that time the book and the movie were out. Well, the book was already out. But in the case of If Bill Street Could Talk, there was no movie out. And I've always wanted to see a movie. It's crazy that the movie actually came out. I'm very hard on producers, film producers, actresses, actors, once I've read a book. Once I've read the book, it's like seeing the movie becomes almost like chalk on a board. Like that, because I'm just watching everything and I'm like, okay, you're not doing it right. This is not right. That's not right. Well, who are you? You don't even look like right now. I'm gonna tell you, to be honest. Okay, I'm looking at Lonnie. I'm just in the middle of the movie. I'm not even finished yet. But I'm looking at Lonnie, and as a little girl, let me tell you something. James Baldwin, that boy ain't no joke. Okay, now I told you about the round the table part, right? When they're talking around the table, Tish and Lonnie, the flashbacks of when they were having dinner before he goes to jail. Well, they have this. James Baldwin writes this steamy love scene. Look, I'm 12 years old at this time. This tells me I ain't never putting this. I'm gonna turn into Tina Campbell for a moment from Mary Mary. I ain't ever gonna put this book down. That's how I felt. I read that book. I used to could count how many times I read If Bill Street Could Talk. I literally can't, because I kept that same book before I even ventured out to get Mama. I read that book many nights on my way to sleep, just reading. Now, there's a steamy love scene. All right. He describes Lonnie as being dark skinned, slender, and hovering over Tish in this love scene. The way James Baldwin describes him, okay, because now, check this out. I done read the book, so now I'm watching the movie. And I'm looking at Fonnie and I'm like, oh, that's not Fonnie. Heck, if I know what Fonnie looks like, right? I'm going by the description my mentor gave me in the book. He's not dark enough to be Fonnie. He's not tall enough to be Fonnie. He's not thin enough to be Fonnie. Fonnie in If Bill Street Could Talk was thin. His body was long and sleek and shit. Now I don't know what kind of package he's got. This is for adults. If you're a child right now, this is the time to cover your ears and go run to your mama. Okay? And say, Mom, you're going to have to edit this part for me. I want to hear what this lady has to say about If Bill Street Could Talk. Well, you shouldn't even be, to be honest. that book is rated R. I shouldn't have been reading it. But anyway, I think all things happen for a reason. Like I said, I shouldn't have been reading it. But I'm going to tell you that book did not make me go have sex. It didn't. As a kid. It didn't make me want to have sex. It just made me what it was. I was a kid. Now let me tell you, that scene made me feel like a kid who snuck in and was watching. But I was in the house. I didn't feel like I was outside the house. Ever. Never in that book did I ever feel separated. Like I was not a part. Oh gosh. I just get so emotional. That's what I try to do when I write. I try to make my readers feel what I write. And you guys let me know. You've seen my poetry, you've seen my work. Let me know. I think that I make people feel like my work is them. I think so. I think that's why people buy it. I think so. I want to make myself feel good, so but if it's not the case, just tell me. It's okay. But he made me the entire book from the time I opened it. When you open the book, it's welcoming. It's like somebody saying, "Come on in," and it's like as you hear him talking about what they're cooking in the kitchen and the spices, you like can almost smell and taste everything. And from the time the page opened, and he welcomes you in, he captivates you immediately. Okay, his opening statement, if you will. I walked into the door the moment the page opened. Okay, so that's what James Baldwin was saying. Now with Terry Terry McMillan, I constantly feel, and this is not bad. It's okay. This is fine. I feel like I'm outside. I'm an outsider reading, which is what most people realize you are. You're reading someone else's story. This is what makes me so emotional. I'm sorry. Most writers, when they write, they want to tell you a story about something. An author wants to tell you, and graphically so. And many writers do great with that. Terry McMillan, I keep mentioning her because that was the second book. I just kind of want to stay there. I want to go too far away. I saw what she meant. I mean, it was very, very, very deep, compelling, and your mind, you stayed there. Your attention stayed there. You stayed there. And I mean, so much was happening. It was just like, it was like watching a movie. Terry McMillan is really good. It wasn't just like reading a book. It's like a movie because the stuff, the description that she does is so, you know, it's just, it's like so much animation with what she does. It's like you can see it. You can just like, it just feels like a movie before your eyes. But you feel like you're watching a movie. With James Baldwin, I feel like I'm a part of the movie, but it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like I'm in their life. It's like I'm unraveled. He just unravels. If he had not written so well, I would not be reading today. I just don't. He wrote so well that he just took me apart inside out. It's like he wrapped me up and unwrapped me and just made me feel everything and brought me in and made me a part of a family that I didn't know. But by the time he finished, I knew this family. They were my family. And I wasn't alone. I wasn't lost. I was warm and I was fed and I was taken care of. I'm sorry. Every time I talk about James Baldwin, I get so like very emotional. I was just coming on here to talk and just read this little piece of paper that I just wrote. But the blanket part came this morning. That's what made me come on here. I just like I heard the voice of the Lord say, you gotta write that. You have to write that down. You better write about it. And I know when I do a book. Excuse me. He's not here to see this, and that's why I'm crying, because it's amazing how somebody can be miles and miles away from you and you've never met them. And through their writing, you can get healing, you can get friendship, you can travel the world. Even Native Son. Native Son talked about him being in Paris. he pulled you in there, and I didn't want to go in. Native Son, I really still have to read that. It really was talking a lot about his homosexual experiences, and it did talk a little bit about that. I wasn't ready for that, and he could bring you in. There's a book he has, The Upper Room, about church folks, and he reels you in with that too. And it's good, and I feel like I'm sitting there in the church. I feel like I'm sitting. It's like this book. If let me go back to If Bill Street Could Talk. It feels like you're one of the characters, but just like how people get extras, you get an extra character. Well, I didn't feel like I was an extra, like I wasn't important, like I was just a passerby. I felt like I was a family member. I don't know any other way to describe it. And I felt like I was a little kid that they just took care of, that I didn't need to do anything. I couldn't talk. I didn't have a voice. So they just kept me warm. Somebody's hand was around me, that kind of thing. You could think back when you were a kid and you were maybe with your cousins, your big cousins, and you didn't have anything to say or add to the conversation, but you were just there and you were just looking up and looking at everybody and listening. And every now and then somebody would rub your head, maybe tap your nose, or see if you needed anything, put a blanket around you. That's how I felt. That's how his writings make me feel. And I'm looking for the book now and I can't even find it. I went to the library to take the book out. Somebody didn't bring it back. I'm like, doggone it, I could have did that. Here I was being faithful, taking the book out, bringing it back, taking the book out, bringing it back. I could have took the book out and just paid for it. But I'm not inconsiderate like that. I figured somebody else may want to read this book too. People are so selfish, But anyway, the movie is good. The movie is, so far, it's really good. I've heard a lot of people say, one person on the site that I'm looking at said that don't waste your time looking at this movie. It's boring. So, of course, I'm skeptical and I'm very judgmental. Like I said, when I read the book first and then watch the movie, it can get so ugly for me, because I'm looking for everything to be in place. Okay, as opposed to when I did Waiting to Excel by Terry McMillan as well. When I read Waiting to Excel, I had already looked at the movie. The reason why I think it's so much better to look at the movie first, because for me, when I looked at and then she did a day late, day late, dollar short, something like that. And then How Stella Got Her Groove Back. So I did those. I had the book and then the movie. I still haven't really looked at the movie thoroughly. I read the book. My cousin Tamika bought me the book or loaned it to me or something like that. And I tell you the truth, I read that book and I still will not watch the entire movie now. How Stella Got Her Groove Back. I just won't watch it. I seen Tyrese Gibson in there with Angela Bassett dancing, but I will not watch the entire movie. I can't do it. I just can't watch the entire movie. So with Waiting to Exhale, it was perfect. I had characters' faces already from the movie. So as I'm reading and it gives me more, I'm like, oh, this didn't happen in the movie. Oh, okay. And then I just, continue to look at Waiting to Excel, and I can see that, okay, wow, there's more going on here. Okay, then what the movie showed, oh, wow. The part that Loretta Devine plays, the mother of the boy who has a gay father, and she's like, she gets sick. She ends up in the hospital in the book. And on the TV, she just has, she's just breathing a little hard. But they changed it with the movie. So it was good for me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciated seeing the movie first and then reading the book. And everybody who I knew from the characters from the movie, that was like watching a movie. And I put characters there. Now, occasionally I see movies that make me feel like I'm a part of the movie, or like I want to be in the movie, or like, wow, yeah, like I would love to be in that movie. Oh, wow. Well, that seems like fun. Or you really just feel, and you can feel like you're on a glass looking in, you know? So, this movie makes me feel like that. I feel like I am on a glass looking in. I don't feel like I'm a part of the family. Okay, that doesn't say anything bad. It's not bad. It's not that the movie. It doesn't mean that the movie's bad. It just means that James Baldwin didn't write it. He didn't write the movie. He didn't do the script. He didn't, because if he was here and he got in there, I promise you, things would be a little bit more different. Now, the reason why I feel warm is because a lot of the things that are being said, it's his writing, and that reels me in. But the whole setup and the way it's done, I could do it because he's my mentor in my heart. I'm telling you, if I redid the movie, I could make people feel like they lived there, like they were in the house. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff. That stuff is like, it's the ultimate when you can make someone feel like you are, like they're where you were when you were writing. Like you're there right now, and make it real, make it, like those rides, those virtuality rides. You go to like PlayStation places, and you sit down, and they make you feel like you're really on a roller coaster. It's like they pull you in with the sights, the visions, and it's hard for a writer to do that. A person has to really be imaginative, and you can be imaginative. It just has to be who you are. Some people are not inviting. They don't like me. Let me tell you, that's what a lot of people misunderstand about me. When you're in my company and you're talking to me, I may not bring you in. I don't. I do this because it's like, I don't know. I just think I have stuff here that I don't want anybody bothering with. Like just my personal space here, physically. I don't like too many people getting in here, right? In my presence, or like, but when I'm writing, I let people in, and they come in, and then when they see me, it's like they think like I could actually, wow, you've gone deeper through my writing than you could ever go in having a relationship with me. That's a writer for you, and that's a poet, a poet. James Baldwin was a poet. I have to say that. I don't hear enough people say that. I don't hear enough people say that James Baldwin was a poet. He was a poet. His writings are all just, I can't say enough about him because I was the I was the dumb kid. I was the dumb kid who didn't want to pick up a book. Please. Forget reading it. I didn't even want to pick it up. Shoot. I don't know. I can't even remember what the cover looked like. Yes, I do. It looked like walls. I wish I could find that book. The cover of If Beale Street Could Talk. It looked like walls because, so much was going on Bill Street that if those walls could talk, he was, oh boy, be telling a lot of business. It was my hood. It was my neighborhood. And he did had a there's a quote that James Baldwin said at the beginning of the movie. I think, don't quote me on this. I think it's outside of the book. But says something like this. Everybody is in a neighborhood like this and has people in their life like this. And it's really unfortunate, the story, the whole story. It's a love story between Tish and Lonnie, a 19-year-old girl, and her boyfriend, who's like, he's like 19 or 22, and he gets accused of rape. And but it's just like now. I mean, it's like so real. But he wasn't in the place. There's no way to put him in the. So much evidence proves that he couldn't have possibly been where this woman was, and but he gets accused of it because they just need a scapegoat. They just need somebody to say this is it, so this girl can be at peace, and she wants to be at peace. So she just sees him, and everybody's the one, and he just happens to be there, and it's just like very unfortunate. But the interesting part about this whole story is that there's a love affair going on the whole time. I don't want to let the cat out the bag, but I mean, this is such an old story that I know everybody hasn't read this. It's obvious to me, but I would advise you to see the movie, then get the book, because because like right now, see, for me, I had to see this movie. I thought I thought I couldn't see the movie, but I had to see it, and I'm pleasantly surprised so far. I'm pleasantly surprised at this movie so far. I'm really like happy, that I feel warm. Again, like I said, I had this nice warm feeling when I went to the kitchen. Because like I can be very wired up, especially when I come from work. I'm dealing with lots of people. I'm talking to people, and I'm serving people. And even no matter what I'm doing with my business or my extra jobs on the side, everything I'm doing is serving people. When I'm performing, I'm serving. When I'm delivering food, I'm serving. When I'm picking up people, taking them for rides, which I'm trying not to do that too much, because I don't really want to do that too much more. But it's servitude. I'm wired up. I'm always wired up, and I'm always, on edge. When I come from work, because you always gotta watch. But I came in and I saw the movie, and I said I gotta be. I was gonna try to watch it in between, my traveling, but I said nah. I need to be sitting and really really get to watch it. So like I'm excited about seeing the last half of it. Undoubtedly, I'll definitely come back and tell you what I thought. I just need to tell you this now because I'm going to take a nap. It's going to be probably tomorrow when I come back. It might even be next week. I don't know. But for right now, this is basically it. Who is this on here? Say hi to me so I know who you are. Hi, who's that one person that's there? Hello. I don't even say something to me. Say something. Are you enjoying this segment of mine? Okay, you don't want to say anything. Okay. Thanks for being here, though. Thanks for being here. Um, anyway, that's basically it. I'm going to go watch the rest now. I'm going to go take a nap and get ready. Try to get some rest for work for tonight. And I'll let you know what the rest is like. So far, I am liking what I see. And Clarence, hi, Clarence Newsom, how are ya? Thanks for coming. Um, have you seen If Bill Street Could Talk? Or have you read the book? Just, if you want to leave a comment at the bottom, please definitely do. Don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? Please. So, um, so like I said, I want to make sure I'm thorough. The book made me feel warm. I felt, uh, I felt warm. It made me feel happy that they're trying to do justice to the book. Yeah. Do you know about the book? Are you familiar with James Baldwin? Are you familiar with his material? Or do you plan to see the book? Sorry, plan to see the book. Do you plan to see the movie? Or do you plan to read the book? Yeah. So, I don't feel like somebody spread a warm blanket around me like I do with the writing. I don't feel like a little kid at the table being taken care of for the movie, watching the movie. I feel like, and see, remember, I was talking about how I felt years ago when I read it. I feel, uh, okay. So when are you gonna see it? You're gonna have to rent it for right now because it's not on cable or anything yet. I think it might be on. I'm not sure if it's in video, on CD or D-Ray. Anyway, so it made me feel. I just keep saying this over and over again. It made me feel warm. Made me feel relaxed. It made me feel settled. You don't know? Okay. Do you like James Baldwin though? You like him? Are you familiar with his writing? That's what I was trying to ask you. I hope I'm not being redundant. But yeah, I felt happy. Made me feel like almost like I had a good read. Yeah, it did make me feel like I was reading James Baldwin's book. I didn't feel like I was so far away. Um, I felt like he had his hand in it. I do. I hate. I keep trying to get away from saying this. I'm thinking it, so I'm gonna say it, and I hate this because I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression when I say this. I don't know how to say this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's like I want to say it, but I don't mean it, and I mean it, but I don't mean it. Boy, how do I say this? Okay, I'm gonna say this. You know how people I feel like he might have been. See, that's territory. I don't like to do that. I don't like to. It was his work. Yeah, they are James Baldwin and Terry McMillan. Yeah, yeah. Any other authors you like? Anybody else? Black authors. I'm talking black authors. So don't be mentioning Virginia Woolf right now or the Hardy Boys. That series. Which is okay. It's okay. If you ever read a nice black writer, try Kimberly Lawson. Kimberla Lawson. Yeah, she has. Oh, she has. There's a story. I loved her story. It was so beautiful. She actually married a pastor. They were engaged for a while, and she kept her virginity and everything, and that was a good book. You felt like, you know, You feel like someone who's there, who's present, but like you're an outsider. You know, I've experienced writers who make you feel like you're there right at the scene of a crime, but you're an outsider, and that's like, wow, that's really good writing. It's really good writing. But to me, when you can make somebody feel like they're one of the family members and that they're safe and they're warm and they're apart, whew, that's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. Um, yeah, so basically, I'm going to get back to this movie now. I want to say thank you for coming to my page. You could have gone anywhere, as Jay-Z said in one of his songs. I was listening to him on the way home. I call him Monkey Boy. I do. But I mean, that's not a nice thing to say. He was singing. What's the song? It was an old school song, old rap song. But in it said that word. It said whatever I just said. I can't even think. But I can't even think now. It just left my mind. You heard what I said? Just rewind it. And I'm kind of remembering what he said in this song. But anyway, I'm so glad we had this time together. And yeah, that's true. Yeah, there are a lot of good. You could name a couple though. Name one or two. If you get a chance though, since you like Terry McMillan, read her book called Mama. I can't wait till they make that a movie. They make that a movie. That's gonna be awesome too, especially with her still being alive. But like I said, I was gonna say I felt like James Baldwin was there somewhere around his spirit, like he couldn't really influence it the way he would if he were alive. But his spirit was like, that's what I felt. And I know that this probably like very devilish witchcraft. It's just not biblical. It's not. I don't know how else to explain it though. I really don't. I don't know how. And I want to be biblically correct. I want to be, biblically again correct. But I can't. I can't figure out any other way. The movie made me feel like James Baldwin had his hands in it some kind of way. And I'm not talking about because he wrote the book, because that's obvious he had his hands in it. But I'm talking about that he just not enough. He didn't have enough power in the movie, but he had some power. He like there were certain areas where I could feel his like, especially when they did the flashbacks. I felt him. I felt that they put that in there because they could have just did the whole story. See, they could, and that's what I was looking for. I was looking for them to just tell the story from beginning to end. That's what I was looking for, a movie. But that's why I felt like I was reading his book, because they did the flashbacks just like he does in the book. They didn't try to fix his book because you can't fix his book. It's already fixed. Hot diggity dog. Listen, this has been Poetic Prophetess Kimberly Wright. Be blessed, be peace, be good. I'm going to sleep, y'all, after I finish looking at this movie. Thanks for being here, Clarence.